top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. 4 of 6 political parties sign ERC'S Elections Code of Conduct. APNU says it has no confidence in the commission. Forward Guyana movement launches Manifesto, dubbed Contract with the People. Jagdeo promises relief as housing backlog from 2019 strains patience of thousands. And from a cell block to second chance, Guyana's prison revolution stuns region. Prison director. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm ALETHEA Grant with the Tuesday, 5th August 2025 edition of the HGP Nightly News. This is what you should know this evening. Antonio Day will tell us that 4 of the 6 political parties contesting the 2025 general and regional elections have signed on to the Ethnic Relations Commission's Code of Conduct. The signing took place at the Ortachang Conference Center on Tuesday. Here's more.
On Tuesday, 4 of the 6 political parties contesting the 2025 general and regional elections have signed the Ethnic Relations Commission's Code of Conduct at a ceremony held at the Ortachang Conference Center. Chairman of the ERC, Sheikh Moini Ul-Haq, took the opportunity to remind leaders of the respective political parties that it is their responsibility to monitor the conduct of their candidates in the lead-up to the September 1 polls. In his address to political parties in attendance, the ERC chairman admonished that all contesting parties must conform to ethical standards, promote mutual respect, and ensure peaceful, fair, and responsible campaigning throughout the electoral process.
All political parties must conduct themselves in accordance with the laws of Guyana. Elections, by their very nature, are designed to give voice to the people. They're a tool for good governance, not a time for hostility or division.
Ul-Haq cautioned that during this election cycle, political leaders must remind their supporters to never sow seeds of discord, but to showcase political maturity and self-restraint.
We therefore call upon all political leaders to set the tone, to demonstrate tolerance and respect for all, to diffuse tensions before they escalate.
Signatories to the ERC Elections Code of Conduct include the Assembly for Liberty and Prosperity, ALP, Alliance for Change, AFC, We Invest Nationhood Party, WIN, and the People's Progressive Party, Civic. The 4 Guyana Party, led by presidential candidate Amanzo Walton Desire, and a Partnership for National Unity, where 2 parties did not sign on to the Code of Conduct. Ganesh Maipo, vice presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity, in an exclusive interview with Nightly News, pointed an accusing finger at the ERC.
The APNU cannot participate in something that is being conducted by a constitutional agency that has not been living up to its expectation.
Maipo reprimanded the Commission for selectively handling cases of racial discrimination.
For us, the Ethnic Relations, not in support of their actions and of recent, their selected outrage against selected individuals.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
The Forward Guyana movement on Tuesday launched its manifesto dubbed Contract with the People. Here is more.
The Forward Guyana movement, a 1-month-old political party, Tuesday launched its manifesto dubbed Contract with the People at the Brandsville Hotel Conference Room, Campbellville, Georgetown. The party in its manifesto pledges not only to change policies, but to restore trust, empower every Guyanese, and build a nation where prosperity, dignity, and opportunity are shared by all at home and abroad. Presidential candidate Amanzo Walton Desir posited that the contract with Guyana is a clear, actionable commitment to address the most pressing issues facing the society and to chart a bold, inclusive path forward.
On September 1, we ask you, the people of Guyana, to vote for your interests, not for tradition, not for race, not for tribe, and certainly not for those who have conspired to keep us here and to keep us poor.
Meanwhile, the party's prime ministerial candidate, Nigel London, said Forward Guyana movement has further committed to ending the cycle of polarization and exclusion where our democracy finally serves the nation.
And I believe that together we can break the chains of the political system that has held us back for far too long.
The three-party coalition also pledged to usher in a new era of open, honest government where accountability is non-negotiable and every citizen has confidence in how resources and power are managed. Among other promises made were ending the winner-takes-all politics, shared power, real representation, zero tolerance for corruption and patronage, accountable and inclusive management of the nation's resources. Additionally, Guyana First, fair, firm, and responsible immigration, defense and protection of our country, ending poverty and empowering the poor, economic diversification, living wages and tax justice are but a few more that were mentioned by the Forward Guyana movement presidential candidate. This is Marvin Critow reporting for HGP Nightly News.
It would appear that President Irfaan Ali has now seen the need to lift Guyanese out of poverty despite public outcries and harsh criticisms from opposition leader Aubrey Norton and other political intellects in civil society. The president over the weekend at a rally held in Linden outlined plans to address poverty and the increasing cost of living. Antonio Day reports.
Head of State Irfaan Ali on Sunday evening laid out a case for the People's Progressive Party Civic as the only political movement with clear actionable vision to lift Guyanese families out of poverty. Speaking at a public rally in Linden Region 10, the president, in acknowledging citizens of their challenges in terms of economic hardships, said that tackling this challenge is on the agenda for his next government.
And the People's Progressive Party, our government, we have a clearly defined poverty reduction strategy that will look at every one of these issues.
According to the Guyanese head of state, he's cognizant of the challenges many families face and is in acknowledgement of global pressures such as inflation, high freight costs, and fuel volatility. He defended these challenges, saying that they are beyond his country's control.
When you talk about cost of living, we don't control international transport costs.
Ali, bellowing at the top of his voice, said that his administration does not control the cost of fertilizers, but has put systems in place to reduce the impact of these rising global prices. The opposition ad nauseum has been calling for the implementation of price control ceiling to address the rising prices of goods. Economist and People's National Congress Reform member Elson Lowe, during an exclusive interview with Nightly News when asked about the idea of implementing a price control regulatory board, shared his perspectives.
Practically, this is a very challenging concept. But prices spiraling out of control is that the government just has not dealt properly with this crisis.
Lowe noted that while the establishment of a price control regulatory board is a feasible idea, Guyanese is not ready for such an approach. He explained that the government first has to admit that inflation is spiraling out of control and devise mechanisms to address them frontally. The Economist told this newscast that such approach can only be taken through consultations with financial experts and not the disbursement of an $100,000 cash grant as the government did for citizens, citing it as a relief measure. Lowe contended that the current administration lacks the expertise in the effective management of the economy.
If they had built a fertilizer plant alongside the pipeline, we would have had access to free fertilizer or low-cost fertilizer, which would have brought the cost of food 20 to 30% down, as well as allowing us to supply much more food to the market and so on. So it is clear that the government has had a total lack of foresight and planning.
Lowe contends that the government over the last 5 years in office has failed to effectively devise measures to counter the high living costs. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
More news after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome to SNL Electrical Inc., where lighting and electrical needs are met with expertise and style. From the latest in electrical lamps to durable cables, circuit breakers, panels, we have it all. Illuminate your space with our elegant chandeliers, stunning crystal lights, and versatile pole lights. Looking to upgrade your comfort? Explore top-of-the-line AC units and our diverse selections of stylish styles. Visit us at 170-180 Thomas Street, Kitty, Georgetown. Discover a solution that not only lights up your world but transforms it. Call us on telephone number 226-3018 or 223-1634. SNL Electrical Inc., powering your life with elegance, quality.
First, with the HGP Nightly News. The presidential candidate of a Partnership for National Unity, Aubrey Norton, is promising better wages and training opportunities for part-time workers, just months after publicly dismissing the government's initiative and linking its beneficiaries to criminal activity. We have more details in this report.
Aubrey Norton, the presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity, is now vowing to improve wages and training opportunities for part-time workers, just months after he criticized the government's program and suggested its beneficiaries were tied to criminal activity. At a rally in Region 6 on Saturday, Norton pledged to raise the monthly pay for part-time workers from $40,000 to $50,000. He also promised that an APNU-led government would expand the initiative to include skills training and education opportunities. Norton had previously dismissed the PartTime Jobs program as a political tool used by the government to secure votes, and in public statements, he went as far as to suggest that some participants were involved in criminal activities. His latest remarks signal a clear shift as he now appears to be rebranding the initiative as one worth keeping, albeit under new management and with added support for professional development.
They're telling people we are going to stop the $40,000 for the 10-day workers. Let me say this to you. We are aware that they were very biased in their choice, but we have said that we will increase the 10-day workers from 40,000 to 50,000. But in addition, we will train them so that they can get a job.
The shift is seen by many as a calculated attempt to appeal to a large voting bloc that has benefited from the program, which was introduced by the PPPC in 2022, to support unemployed and underemployed citizens, particularly women in rural areas. More than 15,000 people are currently employed. Norton insisted that APNU's plans for the economy and employment will be clearly outlined in its soon-to-be-released manifesto.
If you stay as 10-day workers for the next 10 years, you wouldn't be paying no NIS and you wouldn't have benefits to get. We are saying to you, we're going to train you, we're going to employ you, you're going to be able to benefit from the National Insurance Scheme.
Launched in 2022, the PPPC's Part-Time Jobs program was designed to offer short-term employment, 10 days per month in public offices, particularly for rural and hinterland populations. More than 15,000 people have since joined, many of them women and primary caregivers who had limited access to full-time employment. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Meanwhile, under a Partnership for National Unity Government Systems regarding benefits and contributions under the National Insurance Scheme will see significant improvement. This assurance was given by the party's presidential candidate, Aubrey Norton, over the weekend.
In his address to a diverse crowd of supporters over the weekend, presidential candidate for the Partnership for National Unity, Aubrey Norton, harshly criticized the government for the introduction of the 10 Days Workers Initiative. He described this initiative as unsustainable. Mr. Norton reasoned that the permanent incorporation of these 10-day workers into the labor force would result in them receiving full benefits from contributions on the improved systems at the National Insurance Scheme.
When a government allows thousands of young people to live 5 years of their lives without a proper job, paying no NIS, they are placing you on the poverty line.
Norton further reasoned that for full enjoyment of these contributions, these individuals must be properly trained and receive livable wages.
We want you in proper jobs with you paying up your NIS so you can get the benefits at the end of it. And we guarantee you, under the APNU, we will improve the benefits you get from the National Insurance Scheme.
Currently, over 15,000 Guyanese are earning a monthly income of $40,000 a month for 10 days of work, representing a monthly investment of $611 million. He said a government with genuine policies would ensure that its citizens are gainfully employed. Meanwhile, the old age pension, which is currently at $41,000 per month, will be increased to $100,000 per month under an APNU-led government, Mr. Norton assured. The aspiring president also hinted at intentions of considerably bringing the pension age to 60 should he be elected to government after the September 1 polls. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
In the wake of a wave of brutal killings that have shaken the country, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic and the country's sitting Vice President Jagdeo has issued a sobering call to action. Guyana, he says, must build a culture of zero tolerance for violence, especially against women and children. Details in this report.
Speaking on a radio program Monday afternoon, People's Progressive Party Civic and the country's sitting Vice President Jagdeo condemned what he described as a chronic failure to treat domestic and sexual violence with the seriousness it demands. While laws are in place, he said, they are not enough on their own, and police must be held accountable for their response or lack thereof. In one recent case, a young teacher was murdered by the father of one of her children. During his confession, the alleged murderer confessed that she was not taking his calls. In another, a young woman was allegedly killed by her own stepfather. Others were reportedly attacked by current or former partners. Behind the names and stories of women who, too often, reached out for help and never received it in time, in many cases as well, police were aware of these acts of violence, however, no action was taken. Jagdeo, however, said, while the administration is cognizant of these instances, more has to be done to address this societal ill. He touched surprisingly on Adriana Young case.
So I've seen many cases where the police don't pay enough attention.
Absolutely.
To the matter. They don't take it seriously.
Absolutely.
And we need to have greater police accountability too. we need to ensure, look at that Adriana Young matter, when they lied and created a whole ton of problems for people because of their lies.
Agreed.
We need to make sure that on the roads they don't harass people. We were talking about that internally.
According to Guyana Women's Health and Life Experiences in survey, approximately 55% of women in Guyana have experienced at least one form of violence in their lifetime, and 38% have experienced physical or sexual violence. Over 10% reported such abuse within the past 12 months. In 2023, the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security lodged 257 domestic violence cases and 36 sexual offenses matters. That represented a 28.5% decrease from roughly 900 cases reported in 2022. Jagdeo, however, said the government is stepping up. Already, he said, subventions to non-governmental organizations working with abuse victims have increased. The Child Protection Agency has been strengthened and stricter laws have been passed. But the Vice President stressed that enforcement must match legislation and the wider public must also change its mindset.
This is not a task for government. The NGO communities and religious organizations. And we made it clear we want to work with the religious community across Guyana and NGOs to create that culture of intolerance.
His words resonate at a time when Guyana is grappling with what many have called a national crisis of domestic and gender-based violence. Advocates have long called for more resources, more shelters, and faster intervention in cases of abuse. Now, the government says it is listening. But with lives at stake, the question remains, will the system finally change fast enough to save the next woman in danger? Jada June reporting for HGP Nightly News.
More news after this break. Stay tuned.
Planning a cleanup? We can help. Sevon's Waste Management skip bins can be provided for home renovation projects, yard cleanup, or construction project. It's simple. Step 1, give us a call. Step 2, we put down the bin. Step 3, load it up with all of your junk. Step 4, we take it away. That's simple. Bins are also available in various sizes, so there is no job that is too big or too small. Call Sevon's Waste Management today at 218-1455.
Monday, September 1, 2025 is Election Day. At the general election, electors will vote to elect the President and 65 members of the National Assembly. And at the regional election, electors will vote to elect members of the 10 regional democratic councils. Check the official list of electors that is being displayed at 2 prominent places in your area to ensure that you are correctly listed. It is your constitutional right and your civic duty to vote at the upcoming general and regional elections, providing you are listed in the official list of electors. Vote early on Election Day. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
You with the HGP Nightly News. After years of waiting and uncertainty, thousands of Guyanese hopefuls may finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic and the country's sitting Vice President Jagdeo has yet again promised housing applicants that the government is working aggressively to clear a massive backlog and that all who applied before 2019 can expect to receive their house lots soon. Here is more. Speaking during a radio program on Monday, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic and the country's sitting Vice President Jagdeo confirmed that his party has already surpassed its goal of distributing 50,000 house lots in 5 years. But with demand soaring, especially in Region 4, the government is still racing to keep pace. This isn't the first time the government has sought to address the backlog. In early 2023, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell stated that the ministry had, quote, no significant backlog, end of quote, sparking confusion and criticism from applicants still waiting since 2014 and 2015. A subsequent press release from the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHPA, sought to clarify that backlog figures were being reassessed and prioritized, quote unquote, based on availability and serviced land. For many waiting families, the issue has become more than a bureaucratic hurdle. It's a source of stress, frustration, and uncertainty. Behind each application is a dream. A young couple seeking stability, a single parent hoping to escape rent, or an elderly applicant clinging to one final hope of owning a piece of land in Guyana.
We are now dealing in Region 4 with the APNU backlog. So guess what? We are now allocating up to 2019. If you made an application up to 2019, now you're getting your plots of land in Region 4.
The government acknowledged that tens of thousands of applicants, especially from high-demand areas like Greater Georgetown, had yet to be allocated lands. Activists and opposition members accused the administration of downplaying the scale of the problem and distributing lots in ways that sometimes lacked transparency. Jagdeo's comments this week appear to mark a more direct and public recognition of the problem, paired with a renewed pledge to fix it.
People don't understand what is taking place, what kind of land we are taking to convert into housing. They think it's just, oh, the land is there, etc. At the back of Diamond, you have a large area there with some trees that are 150 feet tall, pure jungle at the back there. We pushed it down, the animals we found, animals like jaguars, etc. We have to excavate the roads down 14 feet and then fill it up back with sand.
But even with new communities opening, the bottleneck in Region 4 has proven difficult to break. Land preparation in high-demand zones takes time, and many locations require costly groundwork before they become habitable. Still, the Vice President insists the current administration is the only one to have delivered on its housing promises. The fire that destroyed the historic headquarters of the Guyana Trades Union Congress and its education arm, the Critow Labour College, was deliberately set. But while lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, there allegedly might be a correlation between the first blaze and the second. Here is more. The source told Nightly News that investigators were able to confirm the suspicion of many that there was a concerted effort to deliberately set ablaze to the building. Investigators concluded their probe and determined the blaze was maliciously set. Their findings have now been handed over to the Guyana Police Force for further investigation. The fire, which erupted just before midnight on Thursday, tore through the building located on Wilford Avenue in Georgetown. The structure housed multiple institutions, including the GTUC, the University of Excellence, the School of Management and Business, and the Angela Applewhite Hercules Canteen. Firefighters arrived on the scene within 5 minutes of the alert, but by that time, one building was already fully engulfed in flames, with other areas rapidly catching a fire. The fire was so intense that an additional fire tender had to be deployed to bring it under control. According to several persons at the scene, there were whispers that the fire may have been started intentionally, possibly in connection with insurance-related motives. The source, however, stated that the police's probe of the incident will explore those claims. The source also told this newscast that there may also be a correlation between last Thursday's fire and an earlier blaze at the same location earlier this year. The earlier fire, which occurred on May 22, gutted part of the facility and was officially blamed an outdated electrical system. At that time, the GTUC said they would carry out upgrades to prevent further incidents. It is unclear how much of that work had been completed before the most recent disaster. The GTUC, in a statement, expressed profound sorrow over the destruction of its historic facilities, particularly Critow Labour College. For over 50 years, the college had provided accessible education to thousands of Guyanese from all backgrounds and religions. The destruction has dealt a blow not just to the physical infrastructure, but to the legacy of one of Guyana's most well-known grassroots education institutions. Former students and staff have taken to social media, sharing memories and expressing outrage that the facility could be targeted. The GTUC has not commented on any possible motive or suspects, but has vowed to cooperate with investigators and rebuild. Meanwhile, the police investigation into the arson is ongoing. As questions swirl around why a second fire struck the same property in such a short time span, the public is calling for full transparency and for those responsible to be brought to justice. In a country once haunted by images of crumbling cells, bread and water diets, and riots behind bars, a stunning transformation is underway, and it's flipping the script on incarceration in the Caribbean, particularly in Guyana. As we hear in this report, the Guyana Prison Service may be turning a new leaf. Guyana's prison system, long written off as another clog in the region's cycle of crime and punishment, is now making headlines for something radically different: redemption. The latest episode of Safeguarding Our Nation featured Director of Prisons Nicholas Elliott, who explained that efforts made within the last several years to reform Guyana's prison system has yielded the much-desired recognition regionally. Elliott, in the interview, pulled back the bars on what insiders are calling the most dramatic overhaul of any prison service in CARICOM. Elliott went as far as to posit that gone are the days when inmates were forgotten. He said the reform dealt with several other key issues, including overcrowding.
This also addresses the issue of overcrowding. Before, in the past, we had issues with overcrowding. Today, we no longer have that overcrowding issues within the prison system because of the largest investment in the physical infrastructure within the prison.
Despite the praise, many unanswered questions still remain. Evidently, with recent jailbreaks, broken policing by prison officers, and attempting to smuggle contraband into penitentiaries, and judicial delays could undo the progress if left unaddressed. Others may also doubt whether funding and political commitment can keep pace with the momentum. But according to Elliott, their efforts to reform the prison tells a different story. He noted that over 820 inmates completed certified training in vocational skills, from welding and tailoring to agriculture and electrical installation. And while most Caribbean jailhouses struggle to control fights, fires, and escapes, he added that Guyana's facilities are pumping out certified masons and future entrepreneurs.
This is the core mission of the Guyana Prison Service, where we expose prisoners to several training programs such as carpentry, joinery, and masonry. These programs are facilitated by qualified facilitators, and the programs are accredited.
Whether the initiative becomes the regional standard or remains a Guyanese outlier will depend on whether the results continue to speak louder than the cynicism. But for now, one thing is clear: prison in Guyana doesn't mean the end of the road. It just might be the beginning. Stay tuned for regional news.
You know, I've been thinking, since I moved over to the west side, this is the perfect location for put up a food stand.
put up food stand here?
Yes, Officer Bling.
No, Granny, you can't put up no food stand here.
Why not?
Because the gas to energy pipeline.
Gas to energy? Why is that?
They can bring gas from offshore to region 3 that can turn into electricity and other things.
So what about if Granny put it up over there?
No, Granny, listen. This whole area here, from here to the West Bank, is considered the right of way. So nobody can build, plant, dig, or burn nothing here.
But what if I am?
No buts, Granny. Listen, you could get yourself or others hurt. Watch, you see this number here? You call it if you see anybody doing anything out of the way or doing anything they're supposed to be doing, like building, digging, or burning stuff on the right of way.
All right, grandson, I hear you.
Monday, September 1, 2025 is Election Day. It is your constitutional right to vote at the elections, provided you are listed in the official list of electors. As a voter, you have certain rights. Example, the right to attend political meetings and rallies, know the various political parties and their stance on important national issues. Vote as your conscience tells you. You also have responsibilities which include voting only once for the general election and once for the regional election, respecting the voting rights of other electors, doing nothing to obstruct the election process. Vote early on Election Day for the political party of your choice. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
With a new look, new style, with the same great taste in the 250 ml can. Everybody run out now. Go and go grab one. Me charge up with a turbo 250 ml at your favorite spot. Wait, sell. New look, new can, same vibes. Jinxing, energize up your life. Vibes up, work time, anytime we are turn up the party with turbo can. Turbo can, turbo can, turbo can. Now available in the new 250 ml can. Turbo energy drink. Charge up today.
Friend, give me a minute now. I want you to clear something up for me.
Okay. What is it, ma'am? Why you look so confused?
I hear all this talk about elections and voting, but I really don't understand how this could affect me.
All right. It's like this. Once you were registered by GCOM and you were 18 years or older by June 30th, 2025, you are entitled to vote, provided that you are listed in the official list of electors.
Well, I registered and I'm over 18, but how I would know if my name is on the official list of electors?
That's very easy. GCOM is displaying the official list of electors at 2 popular places in the community where you live. Just go there and check the list. Or you can go to GCOM's website and use the search tool.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm going and doing it now. Yeah. My name on the list. I definitely voting at elections.
Nice.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Regional News. I am Antonio Day. We begin with news in Barbados. The Barbados-based Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum says for the next 3 months, the ENSO-neutral conditions, also called ANADA, will result in recurrent excessive humid heat, culminating in heat waves as the Caribbean heat season peaks in August and September. In its latest Caribbean Climate Outlooks publication, Critow said that the next 3 months could see rainfall intensity and shower frequency peaking in September and October, resulting in extremely high potential for flooding, flash floods, cascading hazards, and associated impacts. It warned also of the increasing Atlantic hurricane season activity in September. In its climate outlook for the period November 2025 to January 2026, Critow said that the spells of hazardous humid heat could ramp up towards September in the ABC Islands, such as Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, Barbados, the Windward Islands, and the GUYANA'S. However, the intensity of the peak of 2025 heat season is not forecast to match that of 2023 and 2024. It said that this period also marked the transition out of the Caribbean wet season, the Atlantic hurricane season, and the heat season, and into the cooler early dry season in December and January. Over to news in Haiti. The United Nations Integrated Office in Haiti says that the human rights situation in the French-speaking country remained extremely worrying during the second quarter of 2025. Abuses by criminal groups caused more than 24% of those killed or injured during the quarter. The UN said that gang members continue to resort to murders, gang rapes, and kidnappings to maintain their control over the populations living in the areas under their influence. Cases of sexual slavery, sexual exploitation, and child trafficking and exploitation were also documented. During the same period, 64% of those killed or injured were killed during security force operations against criminal groups, more than a third of them during strikes using explosive drones. Faced with these abuses and human rights violations, and despite the persistent dysfunction of the judicial system, the United Nations continue to support the authorities in combating impunity and corruption and strengthening accountability for human rights violations. Finally, with some international news. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi says that the war in Gaza is no longer a war to achieve diplomatic objectives or to free hostages. It has become a war of starvation, annihilation, and the elimination of the Palestinian cause. At a media conference in Cairo with Vietnamese President Luong Quoc, el-Sisi added that history will hold many countries accountable for their stance on the war in Gaza, and the global human conscience will not remain silent for long. Egypt will not be a gateway for the displacement of the Palestinian people, he added. The Egyptian leader highlighted that more than 5,000 aid trucks are on Egyptian territory ready to enter Gaza. Aid agency says that the limited amount of aid Israel has allowed into Gaza in the last week is unlikely to avert the famine experts have warned for months. The number of adults to die from hunger in Gaza, approximately 82 over the last 5 weeks, while 93 children have also been killed by Israel through the man-made malnutrition, has imposed upon the enclave since its war began. And I quote, "It is awful," Dr. James Smith, an emergency doctor who was volunteering twice in Gaza, said. "It is one of the most undignified and barbaric ways to kill. Starvation is always something that is done by one person to another. It is intended to be protracted and to maximize suffering," he said. Thank you for watching. I am Antonio Day. Goodbye for now.
Four of 6 political parties sign ERC's Elections Code of Conduct. APNU says it has no confidence in the commission. Forward Guyana movement launches manifesto dubbed Contract with the People. Jagdeo promises relief as housing backlog from 2019 strains patience of thousands. And from CELLBLOCK to Second Chance, Guyana's prison revolution stuns region prison director. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm ALETHEA Grant. Thanks for watching.